But today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Welcome. My name is Alex Borthwick, and this is a short presentation on the instructional strategy, believing and doubting. So we're going on a voyage of discovery. You have just watched an excerpt from what is believed to be one of the greatest speeches of the 20th century. In the use of the believing and doubting strategy, students would be asked to review an article on the speech with a conscious effort to understand the author's point of view. During this review, students would list key points in support of the author's perspective, and then share in pairs or small groups their own opinions, so therefore believing in themselves, but also considering the other opinions too, in terms of identifying with the author, understanding beliefs and values, and the thinking environment in terms of what that has generated. However, it's important to also not believe everything that you think. The great thing about this strategy is that even as students are reviewing and discussing and reporting out their findings, the process may generate additional thoughts and considerations. So welcome to doubt. The instructor collates responses from the students into a class list of points, then asks them to review the article again from a questioning and doubting perspective. Again, the students are going to list their key points. They're going to share their views of what they consider may be true, likely or genuine. They're going to report out to class and once again collate their responses. Then as a class, they will review all key points in their entirety to summarise and reach a balanced view in terms of doubts and beliefs. In addition, it may be beneficial to students to review what they have learned, using a reflective journal as to their own view at the outset, and if this changed, what persuaded them to change their mind. The context in which this strategy can work is in a variety of disciplines, where critical thinking is an important component, particularly when problem solving. Whether the strategy is applied in class or online, it supports the student to create and participate in a conversation which commences with the article on the topic to be discussed. It encourages critical thinking, and this strategy could easily be utilised in my own discipline in human resources, understanding social science theories and theorists, exploring knowledge into practice when applied by HR professionals, studies by academics, and the views of managers, employees and students as active participants in the discipline. Doubt can be good in terms of exploration. In terms of limitations, the level of competence in student critical thinking, analysis and evaluation, and also facilitating skills and classroom environment are key in encouraging open and honest discussion so as not to limit the learning experience. The advantages of this strategy are that it reaches out to students and can engage students both individually and as a whole. It encourages all students to participate in sharing their own views and to consider the views of others. Develops student social skills in their interaction with each other and interaction between the instructor and the students. Develops reading and discussion skills and allows for different learning styles and students to approach the task in their own way. Therefore, it develops competence and confidence in sharing their own views, in questioning and reasoning their own standpoint. As a strategy, it supports critical thinking and development of dialogical thinking. This could be combined with other strategies such as reflective journals, essays and facilitation online through the use of technology. Things such as blogs, wiki and Twitter for sharing real-time thoughts, ideas and changing opinions in terms of what people are believing and doubting. And as other viewpoints are shared, capturing what students have learned to have a more balanced view. This develops use of one's own judgment when decision making and problem solving in determining what is known as a fact from what one thinks they know and believe, therefore developing wisdom. Best practices for this strategy include ensuring the article is persuasive enough, or consider two articles with opposing perspectives. As students commence the task, encourage them to seek information that supports their point of view. Be open to the views of others and consider and reflect whether this information changes their own opinion. Help students to create a best practice list in how to approach the task, similar to the student guidance on document used for reflective journals in PIDP 3250. This will avoid having to flip a coin in terms of decision making and critical thinking when applying the process. This process could be applied to almost any text where students need to achieve a balanced view or need to make a critically informed decision. The role of the educator in using this strategy is to facilitate a class review and discussion on the article selected, to monitor participation and provide opportunities for students to recognise the relevance of the process in developing analysis and critical thinking skills in their studies and real life. Create a respectful and safe class environment which is supportive and generates interest and responsiveness in class, providing prompts if necessary when students stray from the task in hand, and to keep the discussion and the conversation flowing. Encourage students to be self-aware of their own beliefs, values and prejudices, and how these can impact their own views, and how to be receptive to other views. Encourage self-directedness in how students approach reviewing the article as an individual, as a member of the small group and the class, to develop their competence. Provide them with useful feedback to generate self-development in how they form their opinion and apply other information in thinking through the believing and doubting approach to analyse, evaluate and reach a final conclusion. And of course, to be aware of any cultural, ethical or gender challenges that may occur during the activity, given the economic, social and gender diversity of the class. So it's often wise to think before you speak. The role of the learner in this strategy is to review, discuss, listen and share views, and be self-aware of their own belief system and how this can impact their viewpoint. The relevance of other views also. Be mindful of different levels of competence and confidence in the collective approach to the task. Being a supportive and participative learner is important. Be self-directed in determining the points which supports the author's viewpoint and those that challenge and also cast doubt. Be aware of the differences in terms of the approach to this collective class task by others in the class as a result of cultural differences, particularly when there are language barriers, limitations in how students interact, which are gender specific or based on religious or cultural beliefs. Be accepting of others and what they add to the learning experience. In consideration of any ethical, cultural and or gender implications pertaining to this strategy, as the instructor, I would ensure that students are mindful that this strategy is not to identify right from wrong, good for bad. It is to explore and challenge their own belief system and to what extent they agree or disagree with the author and the views of others to ultimately reach a conclusion. Ensure conduct is guided by policies, procedures and guidelines, notwithstanding monitoring in the classroom. Culturally, education is increasingly diverse as institutions become more global, and therefore, as the instructor, it's important that students are patient and considerate and supportive of one another as members of the learning community. There may be challenges in understanding the views of others and accepting values and beliefs that are culturally different from one's own. In terms of gender, there may be some implications in the balance of the male and female students, and it's important not to allow one to dominate the other in those discussions. There may be limitations in how genders interact with each other. This could be as a result of age, social, economic or religious status. Be sensitive to those restrictions or limitations and maintain a safe learning environment, and also ensure student conduct meets the standards required. I'm going to end this presentation with another great speech of the 20th century, and the last slide provides some references.
My fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.